If you have a 401k, what I'm about to show you could save or cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in retirement. A new executive order is about to change everything about how Americans invest for retirement. And Wall Street is salivating at the chance to get their hands on your $12.2 trillion in retirement money. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to protect yourself from what could be the biggest wealth transfer from mainstream to, you guessed it, Wall Street in history. If you're wondering who I am, my name is Felix Prehn. I'm an ex-investment banker who's seen how Wall Street really works from the inside. I'm also the founder of Goat Academy with over 20,000 students and the co-founder of TradeVision.io, in my humble opinion, the greatest chatting and news tool in the world. Our mission is simple. I'm dedicating my retirement to teaching regular investors how to beat Wall Street at their own game by using their rules. If you want to learn those rules, on top of this video, I've made just a rule video, 15 minutes, sweet and short. You learn the 3 rules of Wall Street for free at felixfriends.org/getfree, because I want you to get free. So today I'm going to expose a policy change that could either make you wealthy or wipe out your retirement, depending on what to do next. Trump's democratizing access to alternative assets for 401k investors, what a mouthful, is out there. And what is actually changing? Well, your boring old 401k is about to get 8 new exciting investment options. Now, what's the timeline here? The timeline is you have 180 days to get your house in order. Sounds like a lot, but there's a lot of stuff to get through. That's because that's how long it takes for the Labor Department to implement it. So we're going to get this likely in early 2026. And this affects literally $8 trillion in current 401k assets. Because we're getting new options. We're getting private equity. We're getting physical real estate. We're getting crypto. We're getting gold. We're getting all sorts of complex products and REITs that I'm not going to go into in too much detail. But the one thing that I want to make sure you understand is what happens to private equity investment and crypto investments and whether these are a good idea for your portfolio right now. Currently, you're paying about 0.3% in fees for your 401k investments. And that's already a scandal, but say you have 75k and you're in there, you're paying about $225 per year, and it makes a lot of people wealthy. Well, Wall Street, not you. But private equity has a very different structure. Private equity charges you 2% fees plus, they call this 2 and 10, by the way, plus 20% of profits. So they get a guaranteed hit of massive fees, and then if you make money, they make a lot more money. That's basically how this works. Oh yes, plus monitoring fees, plus, transaction fees. So these guys are doing very well, because they're making money no matter what. So what's the real impact? What's the real impact if, say, you have $100,000 in your portfolio right now, and you add $6,500 annually to your 401k to take advantage of it, and then over the next 30 years, with very modest returns, which is usually happens at 401k, there are 2 outcomes. With the current 0.3% fee structure, that's the now structure, that money would grow to about 1.5 million, right? Now, with a higher cost, just the 2%, I'm not even taking into account the 20% and all the other transaction fees, but just to go from 0.3 to 2%, you end up at this line. And what happens is there is a massive gap, a massive schism, you know what I'm talking about, which is you're only ending up with 1.1 million. And maybe you think, oh, it'd be nice to end up with 1.1 million. Yeah, but really what you've done is you send $420,000, literally $420,000, and you send that straight to your friends on Wall Street. And maybe you think they deserve it. Maybe you think it's hard to live with only 1 Ferrari and only 1 yacht and only 2 country estates and only 3 mistresses. You know, there is an argument to be made there that maybe these guys deserve more of your money. Just kidding, obviously. But the lifetime damage here is significant. So if you still have 30 years to retire, we could be looking at $420,000. But it actually gets worse, because private equity is not liquid. because they invest in private companies that are not listed. And therefore, if you want to sell, well, guess what? You can't. You can't. You can't sell it. You can't access it. It's locked up for years. It's up to private equity to decide when they want to sell it. I've experienced this myself. I've done private equity investments. I wanted to sell, and they said, and I said, but there is an option. And they're like, yeah, but we decide not to use it. It's all up to them. And you don't really know what it's worth. You just don't. You have zero control. So you basically end up with, you have no idea when you're going to exit. You have no idea what it's worth. And you get these very complex, very high fees. And if you thought, well, that's a theoretical risk, well, talk to private equity investors. Right now, there is 3.6 trillion in assets that have no buyers. Nobody wants it. It's just sitting there. It's locked up. Private equity doesn't care. Why not? Because they make their 2% every year. They really couldn't give a hoot. And if you thought, well, but it's going to make me a lot more money, well, private equity has delivered 7% returns, while the S&P last year, for example, did 25% returns. Not an entirely fair comparison, but you get the idea. Private equity is actually underperforming public markets across pretty much all time horizons right now. So this isn't just I'm not just cherry picking some stuff here. And even from an ethical point of view, private equity does what? Well, they buy companies, they load them up with debt, and then they break them up to get maximum value out for investors. Think Toys R Us, think Payless Shoes, think Sears, Joanne Fabrics. There are many companies that were destroyed by private equity. So maybe this is not something you actually want to get into. Asset stripping. Remember those 80s films? And if you think about this structure here, that there are no buyers, the argument could be made that at least some of it, and I'm not talking about all of it, is a little bit of a Ponzi structure. They need new money to pour in so that they can pay out old investors. So when cheap debt becomes more expensive, well, the music isn't quite so happy anymore. Yale and Harvard are dumping their private equity at massive losses. So your timing is, well, they want you to buy what the smart money is desperately trying to sell. So I would say to you, don't fall for the trick, because you are what Wall Street likes to call exit liquidity. Now, what about crypto? That's the exciting opportunity of the century. Wouldn't it be nice to have some crypto in your 401k? Well, crypto can go up or down by 50% in a given day. And that's your retirement account going up or down by that amount. So I think there is an age question here. If you are in your 20s or 30s, you can handle some crypto risk because your time horizon is very long. And I'd say maybe 5% of your portfolio, maybe even 10 if you want to go really gung-ho. Obviously, you've got to make your own decisions here. I'm not giving you advice. I'm just running you through some thought processes so you can come to better decisions yourself. But if you are in your 40s or 50s, like me, well, your time horizon is shorter. So you want less risk. So you want very limited exposure to crypto at this point. I'd say a couple of % of your portfolio, because you just don't want to lose a lot of the money you've got. And if you are nearer to real retirement age, 60, or maybe you're just retiring earlier, well, this is extremely risky because one bad crash could destroy decades of savings. So it kind of becomes retirement suicide. You actually want stability, not speculation. And again, you have to kind of understand the timing here. They're now offering you crypto after it's already run up a lot, and potentially they might want to offload some of it. Now, we have other things in there which I'm not entirely against. REITs, for example, which can be quite a useful thing, but it's very cyclical. It goes with interest rates. And there is part of the REIT world which is a whole freaking disaster. And we've seen recently multiple big REITs that couldn't pay out investors. They simply froze their redemptions. You said, I'd like my money back. And they said, I'm sorry, read the fine print. Not exactly what you want if you're retiring. The commercial real estate is a disaster. Office buildings are empty because people are working from home. It's killed the demand, so there are empty buildings everywhere. Shopping malls, well, Amazon killed that single-handedly. Nobody is just ghost town if you go into these malls across America. And the commercial real estates are also loaded up with lots of debt that can't be refinanced quickly. So again, do not be the exit liquidity. Smart money is fleeing from office buildings and to some extent from multifamily homes because of high delinquencies. They're moving into, well, there are good REITs. There are sort of, for example, data center REITs. Certain warehouses are doing well. There's a lot of stuff like that that can be good, but be careful with the office buildings and the multifamilies. And REITs have fees on top of your 401k fees. So the perfect storm is they're inviting you to buy at the worst possible moment. The exit strategy is Wall Street needs your money to solve their liquidity crisis. And there's a historical pattern here. Every time Wall Street offers retail investors exciting new opportunities, it's because institutions are running for the exits. And the math doesn't lie. You've got higher fees, lower returns, liquidity traps. All of that together adds up into a potential retirement disaster. So what is an age-appropriate strategy? No nudity here, I promise. Well, if we're looking at age group here, say you're youngish, yeah, you can have some crypto exposure. I would not touch the PE thing with a barge pole. It's just going to slow down your compounding, which is going to cost you so much money you wouldn't believe it. And it's then the fees itself make this very, very unappetizing. If you are in your sort of time zone where I am, 45, we could look at some REITs. I definitely avoid the PE. I'd go very small into crypto if that's something you want to look at, because you don't have that much time to recover from major losses. If you are a near retiree, none of this is particularly appealing to you. And you probably want to be doing what you're doing right now. And you probably want to be de-risking rather than adding to the risk. So what can you do right now? Well, contact your HR. Ask about current fee structure and any planned changes. Demand literally full fee disclosure. So get the real cost of any new investment options and then calculate the damage. Add up all the fees, management, performance, monitoring, transaction, and make sure your investments remain liquid. Make sure you can access them when you actually need it. Don't be the exit liquidity. When all Wall Street's desperate to sell, that's when you should be most careful. So stay in control. You still have the power to say no to these opportunities. Don't get dragged into this. So you want to take a screenshot of this. This is sort of my action list here. And obviously, this is not advice. This is just a guideline that you can think through of how to do that. But, look at fees. Make sure you're logged in. Use a calculator or spreadsheet. We've got one on our website, goatacademy.org. Just search Goat Academy compound interest. You'll find it. And make sure you are in low-cost funds. That's really the biggest thing you can do as an investor. If fees are higher than 0.5%, look for something cheaper and start doing an ongoing, sustained review of the whole thing. And if you want to learn how to build real wealth and avoid these Wall Street traps, I've also created the Wall Street 3-step system, and you can get free access to that at felixprehn.org/get free. We put the link down below, and that'll give you just a tremendous insight into how people really manage their money, and it might just whet your appetite to want to do more, because it shows you exactly how to invest like the pros, not their victims. And I hate saying that, but that's the reality. So don't let Wall Street turn your retirement into their payday. Take control, learn, become confident and in charge. If you got some value out of this, make sure you go to felixprehn.org/get free and share the video. Are you worried you're going to get caught out by the market crash that will inevitably come because the market moves in patterns? Well, that's what Hugh just told me to watch out for. And in all seriousness, there is actually a structure to predict the market patterns. It happens with 90% accuracy. And I want to walk you through that.